Hi students, I am Shirley Dashu welcoming you to the Medical and Pharmacy Crash Course division in the Knowledge Club online. Previous episode we learned about asexual reproductions. Today I will discuss on the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, which is second chapter of class 12 syllabus. I divided this chapter in 4 parts for 4 episodes. By the end of first section, you will be able to know flower structure, typical structure of a complete regular flower with diagram, formation and development of pollen grains, development of male gametophyte, development of ovule and the female gametophyte. Don't skip the lecture. If you skip, you can miss a valuable points in between lecture for your exam. So stay tuned up to end. I am going to start today's episode. Let's start. We know that all the plants and animals die after completing their life cycle. Thus, new organisms must be produced to take their place. The process of formation of new organisms of a species from pre-existing ones is called reproduction. Reproduction is the most important biological activity of living organisms. It ensures the continuity of a particular species of organisms on Earth by producing more and more individuals of that particular species. So, types of reproduction. Reproduction is of 2 types. One asexual reproduction and second one sexual reproduction. Then what's the sexual reproduction? Most of the animals and flowering plants reproduce by sexual reproduction method. In sexual reproduction, a new organism is formed from 2 parents of different sexes, a male sex and a female sex. The male parent produces male gametes or male sexes, which are called pollens in plants and sperms in animals. The female parent produces female gametes, which are called ovules or ovum in plants and eggs in animals. The male gamete fuses with the female gamete to make a new single cell zygote. The zygote divides many times to produce a new individual. These gametes are produced by special organs present in male and female parent, which are known as sex organs. In plants, the male sex organ is stamen, while the female sex organ is carpel. In animals, the male sex organ is penis, while the female sex organ is vagina. The fusion of male gamete with female gamete to produce zygote in sexual reproduction is called fertilization. Today we will study on sexual reproduction in flowering plant only. The flowering plants such as sunflower, marigold, wheat, maize, rice, mustard reproduce by sexual reproduction method. These plants contain male reproductive organs that's called stamen and female reproductive organs that's called carpel for the production of male gametes pollens and female gametes ovum respectively. The male gametes fuse with the female gametes to form a single cell called zygote, which develops into the embryo of the seed. The smallest flower, Wolffia microscopia. The largest flower, Rafflesia. The axis on which the flower develops is called peduncle or mother axis. First, I am going to giving you a general view of parts of a flower. A flower is the most important organ of a plant with remarkable complexity and beauty, right? These are usually scented and brightly colored to attract the insects. Flowers help the plants in sexual reproduction. Then what's the main parts of the flower? Number 1 receptacle, number 2 sepals, number 3 petals, number 4 stamen, number 5 carpel. Then what's the receptacle? Receptacle is the base of a flower which connects the flower with the branch of that plant. The upper end of receptacle is usually swollen and it called thalamus. It's connect with the peduncle. Number 2 sepals. Sepals are a whole of green colored leaf-like parts which is present on the outermost circle of a flower. The group of sepals is called calyx. The function of sepals is to protect the flower during its initial stages of growth when it is in the form of bud. Third part, petals. Petals are the colorful parts of a flower which are present inside the sepals. The group of petals is called corolla. The petals can be of different colors. These are usually scented and their main function is to attract insects for the process of pollination and to protect the reproductive organs which are present at the center of the flower. Number 4. Stamen. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of a plant. It consists of 2 parts. Number 1 filament and another is anther. Filament is a long thread-like structure topped by a single enlarged cylindrical or ovoid anther. A cross-section of an anther shows that it consists of 2 lobes and each lobe further contains 2 pollen sacs. The pollen sacs are filled with a large number of small rounded structures called pollen grains. It is the pollen which contains male gametes of a plant in the form of 2 male nuclei. And the last part is the carpel or pistil. Carpel is the female reproductive organ of a plant. It consists of 3 parts: ovary, style and stigma. Stigma is a smooth or hairy or granular, singular or bifid. The lowermost swollen part of the carpel is called ovary. The function of ovary is to make ovules and to store them. Ovules contain the female gamete of a plant. The female gamete of a plant present in the ovule is called ovum. Ovules are present in large number inside the ovary. The upper end of carpel is called stigma. It may be pointed, flattened or lobed in shape. The function of stigma is to receive the pollen grains from the anthers through the process of pollination. The middle elongated part of the carpel is called style. The function of style is to protect or connect stigma with ovary and provide passage to the pollen tube. Some important points for remembering. Number 1. Majority of flowers contain both male and female reproductive organs. The androecium, it's called stamens, and gynoecium, which is called the carpels. Number 2. Calyx means sepals. Corolla means petals. Do not take part in sexual reproduction, thus represent the non-essential parts of flower. A flower likes brassica or petunia containing all the floral parts like calyx, corolla, androecium and gynoecium is said to be complete flower. If any whole is absent in a flower, it is called incomplete flower. Fourth point, the flower which possesses both the essential organs is known as perfect or bisexual or hermaphrodite. Fifth point, if any of the 2 reproductive organs is missing, the flower is described as imperfect or unisexual. In unisexual flower, If carpus or gynoecium are absent, it is termed as male flower or staminate flower, and when stamens or androecium are absent, the flower is female or pistillate. Sometimes both the essential whole are absent in the flower. Such a flower is known as neuter. The flowers are meant for attracting the insects for pollination. As an example, the sunflower isn't a flower, isn't a single flower, it's an inflorescence arrangement of a flower on the plant. It's called inflorescence. This is a scientific word for a group of flowers branched together on the same stem. In the sunflower, there are two types of flowers: the ray florets around the edge that everyone thinks are the only flower petals, and the disc floret, which everyone assumes are the seeds. The ray florets are sterile and therefore for show only. They attract the pollinators. A plant may have both male and female flowers and termed as monoecious, that's called the maize or custard. When male and female flowers are present on the different plants, the plant is spoken as dioecious. It's the papaya, mulberry, date plum and Coccinea grandis. The parts of a flower have already been described. So how flower is involved in sexual reproduction? This involves a consideration of the development of pollination, the development of ovules, fertilization, the development of embryo and endosperms, and finally the formation of fruit and seed. Right? So, number 1 point, the formation and development of pollen grains. We know now the stamen in a flower consists of two parts: the long narrow stalk-like filament and upper broader knob-like anther. Then what's the structure of anther? A normal bythecous anther is made up of two anther lobes, which are connected by a strip of sterile part called connective. Two anther lobes contain four elongated cavities or pollen sacs in which pollen grains are produced. Young anther, while it is still in flower bud, reveals the presence of outermost epidermis. The outermost wall layer lying just below the epidermis is called endothecium or fibrous layer, because while the two radicle and inner develop fibrous thickenings on them except at the junctions of two pollen sacs. Below the endothecium, there are 1 to 3 middle layers of parenchyma cells. The cells of innermost wall layer are radially elongated and rich in protoplasmic contents. This layer is called teptum. The teptum forms the nutritive tissue nourishing the developing microspores. The cells of teptum may be multinucleate or may have large polyploid nucleus. The teptum cells provide nourishment to young microspore mother cells either by forming a plasmodium, the amoeboid or invasive type, or through diffusion, parietal or secretory type. The pollen sac wall encloses a number of archosporial cells that further forms microspore, the mother cells, the microsporocytes. In the beginning microspore, mother cells are polygonal and closely packed. But as the anther enlarges, the pollen sacs becomes spacious and gets loosely arranged. A few microspore mother cells become non-functional and are finally absorbed by developing microspores. During microsporogenesis, the nucleus of each microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis and gives rise to 4 haploid nuclei. These 4 nuclei are arranged in a tetrahedral manner, forming tetrahedral tetrad. The 4 microspores separate from each other and each develops a characteristic shape or form which differs in different species of plants. Now come to the point, the structure of microspore or pollen grain. As already discussed, pollen grains develop from the diploid microspore mother cells in pollen sacs of anthers. Typically, pollen grain is a haploid unicellular body with a single nucleus. The outer surface of microspores may have spines, ridges, or furrows which may vary in other ways in different species. There may be oval, ellipsoidal, triangular, lobed, or even crescent-shaped pollen grains. The cytoplasm is surrounded by a 2-layered wall. The outer layer, exine, is thick and sculptured or smooth. It is cuticularized and the cutin is of a special type called sporopollenin, which is resistant to chemical and biological decomposition. In insect pollinated pollen grains, the exine is covered by a yellowish, viscous and sticky substance called pollen kit. At certain places, the exine remains thin. The thin areas are known as germ pores when they are circular in outline, and germ follows when they are elongated. The cytoplasm is rich in starch and unsaturated oils. Uninucleated protoplasm becomes 2 to 3 cells at the latter stages of development. The branch of the study of pollen grains is called palynology. In calotropis and orchids, the pollens of each anther lobe forms a characteristic mass called pollinium. Each pollinium is provided with a stalk called a caudicle and a sticky base called disc or corpusculum. So the next point, the number 2 point, is the development of male gametophyte. The development of male gametophyte starts in pollen grains. While still present in the microsporangium or pollen sac, the precocious germination, microspores undergoes only 2 mitotic divisions. First mitotic division leads to the formation of a vegetative cell and generative cell. The vegetative cell is also called a tube cell. These cells do not possess any cell wall, hence represented only by cell membranes. A temporary callus wall is laid down between the 2 cells. The callus wall spreads between the generative cells and the intend to finally pinch it off. Soon, this callus wall dissolves and generative cell lies freely in the cytoplasm of the vegetative cell. The generative cells may be elliptical, lenticular, or even spindle-shaped. The cytoplasm contents of the generative cells are almost halide and do not possess much of stored food materials. Larger vegetative cells contain fat, starch, and some type of protein granules. It is usually at these 2 cells stage that pollen grains are liberated from pollen sacs of anther lobes. Rarely generative cells may further divide to form 2 male gametes. Other stages for the development of pollen tubes, etc. occurs on the stigma after pollination. All these stages for the development of male gametophyte are grouped under pre-pollination stages. After falling of pollen grains on stigma, post-pollination changes occur. Pollen grain absorbs water, and nutrients of the stigmatic secretion through its germ spore. The intine produced out through one of the germ pores or through a germ furrow. The germinative nucleus divides to form two male nuclei, which become surrounded by cytoplasmic masses and appear as distinct male gametes. Protruded intine forms a pollen tube. The tube nucleus migrates to the pollen tube. Formation of male gametes can occur in vegetative cells or pollen tube. Usually, the generative cell comes down into pollen tubes and then divides to form the male gametes. The interregions of the pollen tube is highly vacuolated. This region plucked from the anterior part by the development of callus. The male gametophyte in angiosperms is highly reduced. Now come to the another important point. The point number 3, the development of ovule and the female gametophyte. The ovule means the placenta is a ridge of tissue, a parenchymatous mass in the inner wall of the ovary to which ovules are attached. The manner in which the placenta are distributed in the cavity of an ovary is called placentation. Each ovule is attached to the placenta by a slender stalk called funicle. The point of attachment of the body of the ovule to its stalk or funicle is known as hilum. The inverted ovule, the part of funicle, remain attached beyond the hilum alongside of the body of the ovule, forming a sort of ridge called raphe. The ovule contains a mass of thin-walled parenchymatous cells called nucellus. The nucellus is protected by one or two multicellular coats called integumentals. The basal portion of the nucellus from where the integumentals appear is called chalaza. In gymnosperms family Compositae and a few other families with the Gamopetalous corolla, there is one integument. The ovules with one integument are called unitegmic, and with two integuments are known as bitegmic. A small opening is left at the apex of integuments called the micropyle. The female gametophyte or embryo sac is embedded in the micropylar region of the nucellus. Depending upon the thickness of the nucellus, ovules are called nucellate, the nucleus thin, and nucellate, the nucleus massive. Different types of ovules have been reported in angiosperms on the basis of the relationship of funicle with the body of the ovule and orientation of the latter. We can say in example, orthotropous, the upright or erect ovule, and variously curved like anatropous, campylotropous, amphitropous, and carcinotropous. Megasporogenesis and development of female gametophyte, the embryo sac, is in the nucellus towards the micropylar end. Hypodermal distinct archosporial cell is formed. This divides by periclinal division to form an outer primary parietal cell and inner primary sporogenous cell. Primary parietal cell divides further to form parietal tissue of the nucellus. Primary sporogenous cell form megaspore mother cell. The megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to form 4 haploid megaspores. The step is called megasporogenesis. Out of 4 megaspores in a linear tetrad, usually the upper 3 degenerate and lowermost enlarges to become functional megaspore. The functional megaspore forms female gametophyte or embryo sac. The nucleus of megaspore divides into 2, 4 and finally 8 daughter nuclei, 4 of which are located at each pole. One nucleus from each pole migrates to the center to form 2 polar nuclei, which further fuse to form a diploid fusion or secondary nucleus. 3 nuclei at the base of embryo sac form antipodal cells. The remaining 3 nuclei at the micropylar end get surrounded by cytoplasm to form periform cells. These 3 cells together constitute egg apparatus, which consists of 2 cells known as synergids or help cells and an egg or oosphere which hangs between them. The egg cell on fertilization gives rise to zygote, while synergids get disorganized soon after fertilization. The antipodal cells sooner or later also get disorganized. They may, however, be nutritive in function. Revise it. I am very much sure of that you will require less time to remember all these processes. Write me at the comment box how much you enjoyed and time take to remember the whole system after viewing today's lecture. Next episode, we will discuss on the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, the second part. If you like this video, please like, share and comments freely. Don't forget to subscribe our channel. If you already subscribed, then thanks a lot. After subscribing our channel, please click on the bell button for getting the regular updates. I am coming with another episode very shortly. Till then, goodbye.